Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for the squeaky chair. It's a problem I always have. People say it sounds a little suspicious. But anyways, Joe here, the guy who says Die Antwoord sucks. Try to think of something South African, so I'll just go with that. Die Antwoord sucks. Also really controversial for bad people. And I'm here to talk about UFC 297, where the UFC tried to apologize for the last Canadian pay-per-view by showing up with him. Yeah, it was alright, I guess. Bad on paper, but meh, it was alright. Card. So, enough talk. Let's get to the fights.
Yo, it's me. It's DDP.
Because our main event of the evening was a battle of guys I never expected to be fighting against each other in a title fight. Driccus Du Plessis taking on the champ, Sean Strickland. In this fight, I'm going to tell you, it was okay. It was pretty good. You know, got fight of the night. It was pretty good, I thought. But it was weird. DDP trying to get his weird, awkward looping punches going with very little success, while Strickland just popped him with that jab over and over and over again. And it caused the left eye of DDP to close up and like balloon up a little bit. It was kind of gross. And the first round for me was all Strickland. Second round was a lot closer, but I leaned towards DDP. Third round, I think it's Strickland on my card, as he was really letting his hands go. Let's be honest, he doesn't really ever let his hands go, but he was landing, I think, very good shots and was much more defensively sound than he was in the second round. Fourth round, DDP got a huge right hand off that instantly bloodied the eye of Strickland. The left eye again for both of them, and it was, no pun intended, I realize it's kind of a pun, but no pun intended, clearly it was very evident that Strickland was having issues with his sight on his left eye, because he was eating a bunch of right hands and stuff that he was clearly defending super well by just putting his hand up or parrying it with his forearm or moving it out of the way or just slipping it. Now those shots are landing because of the one shot that landed clean and caused some damage, which is kind of how it happens in a fight. And that was a very clear DDP round for me. And so we had one round left, in my opinion, to decide it all. And I thought that round was Strickland, for sure. He was letting loose on DDP with combinations and having his own Wish.com version of Max Holloway versus Ricardo Lamas with their ending. Both guys just kind of slugging. It was very Wish.com version, but it was still pretty cool. It was at UFC 199. I remember that fight because I covered it on a retro review. Wink, wink. But at the end of the fight, it was a pretty good fight. I was pretty confident Strickland had won 3-2. And my friend who was watching scored it 4-1 for Strickland, which I personally disagree with. But, you know, that's just kind of how we were feeling. We were pretty confident Strickland had won. But the judges told us we were both stupid. And with DDP getting a close split decision win to become the new middleweight champion of the world. Weird start to this year already, isn't it? And for me, this fight was, like I said, the fight's pretty good. It was pretty good. I think if I was on like a retro review, I'd probably give it an 8. It was a good fight. But I have some fears for the future of this division, because I feel like they're going to just have Izzy jump up that ladder and take on DDP, because that's a money fight. Izzy's doing his very dorkish trash talk with DDP. DDP and him don't like each other, so why not? But he also called out Alex Pereira, and I do not want that. So I'm really skeptical for this future of the middleweight division personally. Moving on to some cool news, in my opinion, we get the co-main event of the evening. Raquel Pennington takes on Mayra Bueno Silva. And on the preview show, me and Carl talked about how MBS, Mayra Bueno Silva, has great early finishing skills, but fades the longer the fight goes. And Rocky is very durable, very hard to get out of there early, and even more importantly for me, is her style is very draining. Like, she's a kind of a grinder, meat and potatoes grinder. She's going to take you into the deep waters and beat you up from there. And she has good hands and stuff like that to get things going, but she's very grindy naturally. And this led me to picking the upset. And, you know, I don't know what to tell you, but I called it basically exactly right. Early on, MBS is being very aggressive. She's getting control on the ground with a lot of near submissions, including a face crank that was pretty good. Rocky kept coming, though. Outwork. I had to say it several times because it was that much of a, like, just, it was nice for me because I called it basically how it is. And outworked her opponent, MBS, over 5 rounds to become the champion at 135 pounds. But most importantly, there's one thing, being a champion, that's pretty impressive for me. I think that's super impressive. But most importantly, Carl gets to join me in graduating someone from his boy stable. Last year, I got to graduate Alexa Grasso, and it was beautiful. Picture perfect win. And Rocky is in his stable. Now he gets to graduate it. I'm really curious about the future of this division, though, because 135, I think the Amanda Nunes shadow is kind of gone from this division. What's left for this division? Well, sadly, we do have a very cringy coming up fight in cringy Juliana Pena. She's coming to take on Rocky, but let's just say I can guarantee that Carl knows the perfect way to hype people up for that fight. But I won't reveal too much yet. But now for the rest of the card. Mike Malott was dominating Neal Magny, then gassed out. Gets TKO'd in the final round by in my opinion, one of the legendary gatekeepers in MMA history, putting an end to the hype that was all around him. Chris Curtis and Marc-Andre Barriot. French names I always struggle with, so I do apologize. Fought to a decision with Chris Curtis getting the nod using superior hands, and I think he was mixing to the body as well too. Great lead uppercut to the body, to the gut. It was very good. Solid fight that had a lot of cool moments because they were like fighting in the phone booth, so to speak, like because Barriot kept trying to kind of tie up and dirty box in the open, and so and Curtis is trying to box out. It was very cool stuff, I think. So that fight was good. Arnold Allen and Movsar Evloev fought with a really weird moment. So third round, Arnold Allen is down 2 rounds, potentially, because Evloev has been just kind of grappling him, throwing him down. Arnold gets up, throws him down again. Very Abel Trujillo, Habib, Wish.com version, but kind of similar in that kind of mindset. And Evloev is in a bad spot at one point in the third round. Arnold Allen has head control with the front headlock, and he's kneeing him clean in the head. And Evloev is trying to put his hand down to protect himself, which the commentator's saying like you can't put your hand down actively to avoid getting kneed, which I just hate this rule in particular, personally. And so Evloev is getting kneed in the face because Arnold Allen is lifting him up to knee him every time, so his hand is off the mat, meaning totally legal. Knees him a ton, with the last one looking like it really hurts Evloev. And Mark Goddard stops it, resets the fight, gives a warning, doesn't take a point away, but he gives a warning to Arnold Allen when I think he was definitely kneeing him, definitely about to mount a comeback finish in that moment. So Evloev does win a unanimous decision. It was really weird. It kind of soured that fight because that fight was pretty good before that. Garrett Armfield upset Brad Katona with superior striking and a unanimous decision win. Sean Woodson, he used his long, lanky range to just kind of snipe Charles Jourdain for the majority of the fight with the decision win. Ramon Taveras beat Sahi Sidi by split decision. Jillian Robertson got a TKO win over Polyana Viana. It's kind of funny whenever Cornerman was like doing like the selfie video thing, like while they get in TKO. It's kind of funny. I know like social media had a little blast with that. Hey man, it's kind of funny. I feel like an old man saying it like that. But Sam Patterson got a rear naked choke win over Johan Lenice. Jasmine Jesuda Vicious put a stomping on Priscilla Cachoeira with one scorecard apparently being a 10-7. Wow. But she does beat Priscilla Cachoeira with an anaconda choke. Also, the numbers for that fight are hilarious. It makes you go, wow, Priscilla Cachoeira has a job. But for one last bit, it's going to a little less jokey, a little bit more serious. Frankie Edgar is entering the Hall of Fame. And this made me pop off more than anything of the night. It kind of made my night. I wasn't having a great night, admittingly, for some personal stuff. Absolute legend, and he is one half because it takes two to tango, one half of my favorite fight of all time, which is Jose Aldo and Frankie Edgar in their first fight, which I think is a technical masterclass with almost storytelling and the dynamic back and forth. It's just a perfect fight. In my opinion, that's my perfect fight right there. Frankie Edgar, absolute legend, and in my opinion, he is the Rocky of MMA. I've said that on a retro review before. He's my pick for the Rocky of MMA. Kind of funny that he gets into the Hall of Fame the same night that the person with the nickname Rocky wins their first title, a long-awaited title for, upset win as well. Kind of cool. But Frankie Edgar, I do think, has a claim to be a top 2 lightweight of all time when you really take into account legacy. In terms of ability, the two number 1 is like Khabib and Tony. I think Tony Ferguson, in terms of ability, is probably top 5, because at one point he was unbeatable in almost any way you try to fight the guy, and just a wood chipper of violence, and it's kind of interesting. He's one of the best ever in terms of ability, but in terms of everything and legacy, Khabib left too early, so it's BJ and Frankie in my mind, especially when you think a lot of people agree with the concept that Frankie never lost the lightweight belt. Plus, this dude was walking around at like 153, 152, I think it came out. It's like 152, maybe 153. He was walking around at that weight, while everyone else at lightweight at the time was walking around at like 175 plus, cutting 20 pounds as he just kind of shows up. He is the antithesis, I struggle with that word, of a weight bully. Just like a weight victim, if anything. Undeniable, I think, in his Hall of Fame bid. Undeniable. And I want to wish you, Frankie, if you're watching this somehow, if someone can get this out to him, I don't know. If you don't, it's okay. Congratulations to Frankie Edgar. You were a huge inspiration on me personally, as I'm the same height as you. We're both in the short guy club. We're still taller than Cejudo, though, so that's pretty cool of us. And I was working towards my jiu-jitsu purple belt when you were getting ready to fight BJ Penn for the first time. I got my purple belt. It's basically the same day, but I got it technically on the Friday before the Saturday you beat BJ Penn. So I used to always say that we're the real champions coming out of that weekend. It's kind of a fun little thing. But it's honestly a massive honor to have watched. Absolute legend. You deserve this more than, I'd say, maybe about 90% of that Hall of Fame in general, because you were just the guy for me. But that's it for me. I'll be back soon. Don't worry. Roman Dolidze fights in the main event soon, and I gotta root against him. He took Cheyenne of Lismos from me. And plus, if you haven't seen it yet, on the second channel here on INC Live, we have the latest retro review. We moved it from the main channel to over here, and I gotta be honest, I think you guys are gonna love it if you haven't seen it yet, because I get to bust out what used to be known back when I was a partier as a legendary party trick. I do my fabled GSP impression for you guys. It's kind of corny, it's kind of stupid, but man, it's really funny to me and Carl. And a lot of people from back in the day. But I'm Joe with the INC. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.